Hey, what's good, everybody? Thanks for hopping in the car with Christian Addiction Recovery, a channel where like-minded individuals that face similar struggles can come so that we can learn and discuss new ways to live the best life possible and overall become the best versions of ourselves. Last video, I talked about 3 steps towards healing from childhood trauma. All right. And if you go back and check it out, I'll put the link below. But if you didn't, I'll just give you a little recap. When I was 10 years old, I had a sexual incident that traumatized me because it was a malevolence that completely broke my reality. And the person that did this to me was a close person to the family. And so it sent a lot of confusion in me about what was right and what was wrong. My mom had also experienced some trauma in her young adult life, and eventually she went to a Christian counselor to ask how she could receive healing from all of these things. And he gave her the 3 steps that I'm giving you in these 3 videos. And the first one was to identify. Okay, and I didn't talk about it much in the last video, but when you're identifying these problems, it is so important that you write these things down. Okay, and this is something that you really need to meditate on and take 2 or 3 days, and maybe even longer, and spend some time by yourself and really writing these things down. And the reason why it's important, because you need to write all the things down that have wronged you, but also the way that you have wronged others. In AA or any of the 12 steps programs, this is going to be something like inventory. Okay, so really take the time to search yourself and find out what's really causing you pain. Also remember that you doing things to others can also bring you shame and pain. Like for me, the incident obviously brought my young self shame, but it was my reactions to this shame and my actions over the next few years that would significantly add to the shame that I was feeling. Okay, next in this 3-step process is going to be recognizing. All right, now there is a couple parts to recognizing that I'd like to talk about. First, concerning childhood trauma, it is extremely important that you recognize and have a good understanding of how bad evil is. Wrapping your head around this is important because you have to understand that you're not wrong for the way you feel. It's so important to understand that this horrific incident wronged you, and that's why you feel the way you feel. You're not like a messed up individual for having pain from something bad happening. It's very important to realize that. You have to understand that although the person did do this thing to you, it's very important to understand that it was actually the spirit behind the person that was doing it to you. That's what we need to come to grips with, because when we do that, it actually allows us to forgive the person, and that's what's going to be so important in your healing process, is forgiveness. It's important that we get to this place of forgiveness, because if we don't, we're not going to grow, right? Childhood trauma stunts you from growing spiritually and emotionally. Like for me, I was 10 years old when this incident happened, and as a result, my emotional intelligence did not increase as I got older, all right? And although I went to church for several decades after this happened, I didn't grow spiritually, because the time that I spent with God was just hanging my head in shame and just feeling bad for not only what happened to me, but all of these things that I just can't seem to get right in life. Which brings me to my second part of the recognizing step, and that is to recognize how this trauma started affecting your actions, and as a result, your actions started hurting others and harming their realities, and maybe even traumatizing some of them. You have to recognize how these sins just kind of cascade into more sins and more wrongs, right? It's not blaming. You're not blaming this action, but you're recognizing that, hey, these things had an effect on the rest of my life in the way that I made decisions. And the reason why is because we have to get to the root of the problems. God has blessed us with a consciousness that has the capability to understand our past and make amends with those things that have hurt us, and overall be able to come to a place of forgiving. It's an amazing gift that we have to be able to go back and face our demons and defeat them by forgiving those who hurt us. Before I found my dog in the country and adopted her, she had been traumatized severely. We don't know what happened to her, but we know that when we were first trying to get her and give her a bath and kind of clean her up, she was so traumatized that even just walking up to her, she would yell, right? And And when it was really hard for us to even touch her and grab her, but finally we got her into a bath. And now her life has been patched together and she has everything provided for her. She gets all the snacks and the treats and all the belly rubs. She really likes the belly rubs. But even though it's been months and she has all these provisions and this security in her life, if I walk up on her and touch her on the back of the leg and she doesn't know it, she reverts back to that traumatized state immediately. And the reason why I tell that story is because we have such a precious gift with the ability to go back and be aware of what hurt us and to forgive those things and let them go so that we can actually be healed. All right. Like I said, I was emotionally stunted. And when I was in my relationships for the next many years, if things started to get stressful or, something happened, I would kind of be like honey, and I would revert back to that traumatized state, and where I would just be very fearful of, the person leaving me or doing the wrong thing and make irrational decisions and reactions to what was going on. But I'm living proof that this can be remedied. All right. The thing is that we have to identify, we have to recognize these things. And by identifying and recognizing these things, we are bringing it into the light. God is really good about using nature and the things around us to show us how He works. And when you put something in the light, in time, it is sanitized and all the germs and all the viruses and all those things will be destroyed, right? But it has to be brought into the light. So I think this is a really good example about how when you face these things, you write them down, you get them into the light, you can be healed from your trauma, all right? I'm living proof. I was so emotionally unintelligent that I lived most of my life reactionary, but I have found healing, and now I live a life that is filled with intentionality, and I have such great contentment and peace and love and joy. And that's the whole reason for this channel, is I just want to impart some of the wisdom and understanding that I've received to you. See, the thing is that if you're listening to this video, I can almost guarantee you that you were born with a very bright light, and Satan, our enemy, saw that light and he wanted to extinguish that. And so he attacked you as a child, most likely, and traumatized you and tried to put out that light, and it dimmed, okay? But if you're still listening to my voice, there is hope for you. God is trying to tell you that He wants to fuel your fire, and He wants to empower you so that you can face your demons. And He knows the key to that empowerment and that true healing is forgiveness. Okay, guys, I'm going to get on to the next video, but I really hope and pray that you'll come check it out, as it is the most important part to receiving your healing, especially from childhood trauma. And again, that's forgiveness and reconciliation. And I'm going to give you some ways in the next video to help you get to this place of forgiveness. All right. Hey, but before I go, comment down below and tell me some ways that your therapist or your counselor have helped you on these topics, the identifying and the recognizing. I really want to learn from you guys. You're smart and you're here for a reason, so that we can help each other. All right. Let's grow together. Let's make this journey together. Let's do it. All right. Hey, smash them likes. Smash it. Smash it. Smash that like. Or give me a dislike if you don't like it. I got to know if I need to get better. All right. And hey, you see that word? It says subscribe. And if it's red, click it. Click it. Because that's the only way that you're going to get notification of my new videos. I'm a new channel and I'm not going to be popping up in your feed if you haven't liked or subscribed. All right. I love y'all. Peace.